Residential segregation can be defined as the separation of racial groups into urban spaces or the physical separation of two or more groups into different neighborhoods. This is a form of segregation that sorts people's groups into various neighborhoods and shapes the living environment at the neighborhood level. People often drive downtown or to certain areas where they see ghettos or places where they may only see one race. Some neighborhoods contain large homes with prosperous populations. Others are modest or low rundown homes. In today's world, racism is something that we see every day and exploited all over the news. We often see someone and think, oh, they must be a drug dealer or a robber. Well, truth is, they probably aren't. People don't understand how being racist really affects other people. It is offensive, cruel, rude, and more. No matter who the person is, they matter on this earth. Residential segregation also results in the sorting of wealthy, poor, and in-between people. Wealthy people often think of themselves and the things that they have because of their money. Poor people are doing anything they can to survive, make a living in life, and provide for their family. They see life one day at a time and make sure they will be able to provide. We see in today's world neighborhoods that are well kept and others that just look like a dump. This is a result of people not caring for their property or the tenant of the home. It can all come down to racial segregation. White people typically get offended with different race people living by them or in their neighborhoods. They see this as others starting to take over the area. That was compared to 5% in 1970. This issue is not something that started within the last 10 years. It has been around for quite some time. During 1970 to 1990, good-paying jobs for people who had less than a college education started to vanish. A major cause of this is welfare dependency. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Yeah. Welfare dependency and a high unemployment. As it sounds, people started to depend on welfare to provide for them during their life. They did nothing to try to get better because they knew welfare would supply them with their needs. What is your view on unemployment?
Unemployment is disgusting, There should be no unemployment. Everyone should have a job to work,
Yes, unemployment led to people living on the streets, trying to either find things to mooch off of, or others to try to get a job.
Disgusting.
With all this, ghettos were like living in dark neighborhoods. Dark-skinned people and white-skinned people moved into ghettos, which were low income, different style. Racial residential segregation falls into play due to whites and blacks being divided down by income and race. There are many instances where both races do not want another race living in their neighborhood, and so they kick people out and try to sabotage their living experience. What is your belief on racial residential segregation?
I believe everyone should live in unity and equality. It's 2016 years. We should all be all together now.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree.
Yes.
My personal beliefs are the same. They differ from many others. I also believe that it should be depleted to a point where people are feeling more welcome. I feel this would help with violence that is aroused due to racial superiority of a place. Now, there are some people that should not be on the same stomping grounds as others, but for the most part, we should not be segregating areas and neighborhoods. We never know. Someone from a different race may be the kindest, hardworking, and true Catholic.
Yes.
We just have to find them out and get to know them more. Catholics in general follow the laws of their respective states by maintaining racial segregation. Most Catholic parishes or church congregations remained segregated along the racial lines during the first half of the 20th century. On the other hand, there were always Catholics that questioned the racial status quo in the Vatican, the headquarters of the faith. The Catholics' role during segregation was quite ambiguous or unclear, because that is what Catholics tolerated to a degree. Separation between black and whites they condemned as well and thought it was immoral. Much of the increase in residential segregation from 1960 to 2000 took place between cities and suburbs, rather than between neighborhoods within the same jurisdiction. I found a quote that says, "Many studies have found that blacks who live in segregated metropolitan areas have lower educational attainment and lower earnings than their counterparts in more integrated areas. This difference appears to reflect the causal effect of segregation on economic outcomes, and not simply the fact that white residents are more likely to move away from poor black neighborhoods. Residential segregation can be defined as the separation of racial groups in urban space.
Is racial residential segregation a serious problem in American society?
Yes, it is a serious problem because we face it all the time. Different races will end up taking over this world faster than we can imagine. You know, we often see on the news stories about illegal immigrants coming to our country, trying to take over, even legal ones that are just making our population grow. With all of this as a result, we see more and more segregation in neighborhoods, and certain races occupying these neighborhoods.
What are the causes of residential segregation?
Good question, John. There are many causes. Residential segregation is a fundamental cause of disparities in health. The physical separation of the races by enforced residence in certain areas is an institutional mechanism of racism that was designed to protect whites from social interaction with blacks. Causes of residential segregation fall down to income, unemployment, and health. With a low-income neighborhood, you're going to have sick people that do not care about themselves, due to not being able to pay for medical needs or whatever. First, blacks may prefer to live near other blacks, either because they enjoy the company or because they share common preferences. They also think about having a community center or a neighborhood restaurant that, it's basically racially segregated. It's just how they are.
Basically. What are some potential solutions to residential segregation?
Solutions to this would be people that are dealing with unemployment should get a job so they can make a way of living. And just also, people not being so racist or, us not dealing with segregation anymore because, it's something that is not helping our country. It is giving it a downfall. I personally think that racial residential segregation can become a big problem in today's world. As I conclude, we are profiling people based on certain living conditions, and some people could be very bright. Ghettos could be made cleaner and the world could overall be a better place. Offering help to others is always a good thing, but they need to be willing to accept jobs and opportunities that come up. Our church does not exclude other races. They welcome everyone that would like to join and get to know our Creator better. We are all on this planet to be here, united as one.